All right. Good morning, guys. Welcome in. Welcome. Happy Monday. How is everybody doing? Welcome in. We have a lot to go over this morning. Burley B, Edgar, Corey, Train the Trader. Welcome in, everybody. How is everybody doing? Good morning. Welcome in. Hopefully everyone had a nice weekend and is ready to dive into charts, is ready to start off the week the right way. We're going to talk about everything this morning. Darius, Blaine, Kelvin, Augustin, welcome in. Welcome. It feels like it was a long weekend. I don't know if it was a long weekend for you guys, but it was a long weekend for me. It feels like it's almost like a 3-day weekend, but obviously not a 3-day weekend. Anyway, we're going to dive into it, guys. We have a lot to go over this morning. I want to spend majority of today's session on charts because it's a new week, it's Monday, but it's also an interesting week because we have some major data looming. The title of the live stream today is Big Economic Data, Big data, right? We have major CPI data, we have major earnings reports data. So we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that, and then we're going to go into our charts, and it's going to be a nice pre-market morning, pre-market stream. Fancy, thank you, Fancy. Good morning, Fancy. Good morning. Crypto is rocketing. Yes, crypto is rocketing. That's going to be also discussion today. Why is crypto rocketing, or what's going on with crypto, right? I mean, Bitcoin is obviously in the 120s now, right? This is insane, right? This is a major extension higher, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on here with Bitcoin. Anyway, guys, today's session, we are going to dive into it right now. We are going to get started. We're not going to hesitate. Let's jump into it. So, on the SPY chart, we are going to discuss the levels in SPY being the critical demand below 621, the critical supply above 624.50. This is the same stuff we spoke about on Friday's session, also still the same today. It's just the same things. It's the same things today, guys. Nothing functionally is different. Nothing is fundamentally different from Friday's session into today. It's the same thing. The levels are the same. We have our demand lows here at 621 and our supplies high here at 624.50. We're going to talk about that in a minute. We'll go over kind of what I'm seeing here on the SPY chart after meeting the extension move higher. We are going to talk about this. We are going to go over the Qs chart. QQQ, of course, yes, too. Of QQQ chart, we'll talk about the big demand below 552. And then under 552, we have demand below here 550. So we have two sets of demand today to watch out for on the Qs. We also have supply here at 555. We're going to go over that as well. We have major all-time highs here at 557.3, which is again the previous all-time highs that we were watching for today's session. So we have some big levels here in SPY, some smaller levels here in Qs, but we are going to talk about it. We are also going to go over the Amazon chart, AMZN. Amazon being one of my top watches today. I mean, it's a really nice bull structure. If you guys are in a honey drip, you kind of know why I'm watching this. It's just a beautiful high, turning into a low on this breakout, the bull flag breakout on the 1 hour time frame. This could be a nice trade going into this Monday morning. So we're going to talk about Amazon today. We are going to talk about Tesla as well. We're going to talk about Tesla. Sort of ripping higher now, right? Ripping higher now. It's moving with the market. We are going to talk about a major 320 break here on Tesla. 320 as a big technical level. This is going to be the discussion today's session. Can Tesla clear 320? Can we also look for some bounces on Tesla today? And there's one bounce in particular that I'm watching for today's session, and you guys probably know what it is based on the chart, but we'll talk about that in a minute. We're also going to go over Apple. Apple, a little bit of a lagger, right? We had some opportunity in Apple on Thursday or Tuesday session. Was it Tuesday session? Was it Tuesday session? I think it was Tuesday session. Maybe it's Thursday session. We had opportunity on Apple on Thursday, and then obviously, right, it just sort of faded into our Friday session. We'll talk about Apple today and what can happen here if there's any opportunity on this chart today. We're going to go over Bitcoin, of course, BTC USD. We'll go over Meta. We'll talk about Meta. We'll talk about AMD, of course, AMD in a beautiful bull flag structure. and also, of course, Nvidia. And we'll finish off with Nvidia being one of the major major tech names. So we'll do Nvidia towards the end of the stream today because there's a reason why, right? So besides that, guys, I want to dive into our economic data for the week. Today is July 14. This morning, we have no data to watch out for. There's no critical data this morning session. However, tomorrow, we have major CPI, Consumer Price Index data at 8:30 a.m. What does that mean? That means if you are in full port AMD longs this morning, Amazon longs this morning, and you decide I want to swing it into tomorrow, well, you know what? You have no opportunity to trim that off before the major economic event, because of course this is at someone's texting me at 8:39, which they know my little my pre-market's at 8:39, so I have to put my phone on D&D. Anyway, so CPI 8:30 in the morning. That means that if you swing something from today's session into tomorrow, of course you have no opportunity to abort mission, right? Press the eject button at 8:29 because of course the market's still closed. So be careful of that. There's no eject button tomorrow morning. If you're swinging something into today and into tomorrow's session, then of course you are still swinging it into big CPI data. So be careful of that big inflation data on Tuesday. Besides that, on Tuesday, we have some sprinkled Fed speakers at 12:45, 7:45, and then producer price index, the producer price index at 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday session, July 16th. So some big economic data going into Tuesday and Wednesday. The market's going to be looking for this. And then big housing data and job data on Thursday, and then big data on Friday as well. So big data, big data, big data, big data, okay? All week, that is the theme of this week. It's just an incredibly volatile week with all of these reports. To make matters even more complicated, right? We also have some earnings coming up, right? And the earnings that we have coming up indicate the start of the earnings season. You guys know we were speaking about this on Friday session, and it is, of course, this is what's happening now, right? What's happening now is you have the big banks reporting earnings, right? So you have your JP Morgan, your Citigroup, your Wells Fargo, BlackRock reporting earnings on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday session you have ASML, some chip names, BAC, GS, J&J, MS, Morgan Stanley, and then Wednesday session also after hours United, UAL, and then Thursday is the kickoff for tech earnings. Starts off with TSM always. TSM and Netflix reporting on Thursday session. So we have the start of the earnings season upon us, and we are ready for it. We are ready for an exciting earnings season. That is what we have going on this week. Anyway, let's dive into our charts and dig into the first chart of the day. So someone said, this is actually a really good comment. Someone said, no data, just 3 tweets at key levels, no worries. It's exactly right. Anyway, so on the SPY chart, what I want to do with you guys is I want to show you the chart on Thursday into Friday, because I didn't get a chance to do this on Friday's session. I was doing the collab stream with Rav. I wanted to show you something. I wanted to show you something interesting on Thursday, or Friday morning. But I'll show you now. So the reason why the market was so bullish into last week was because we were in that little bull flag consolidation, right? Let me just fix it properly so you can see it, right? So we were in just a beautiful bull flag, right? So you guys saw the beautiful breakout, right? The consolidation above demand, and finally we ripped higher into next supply, and then again back into demand, and then again into next supply, and we made I kept saying something very interesting yesterday. I said something on Friday. I kept saying the word, we met the bull thesis, we met the bull target, and sometimes like these words, I have a funny way of phrasing things sometimes, right? I want you guys to see the chart because it's more important for you to see the chart, okay? The reason why I was saying that was because this consolidation that we had a bull flag highs here listed at 626. That's what was happening, right? And we made the move, right? So if you were a bull here, or a bull there, or a bull here, or even a bull there, or a bull here, you got the bull flag move, right? The first target for any of these consolidation bull flags is the high of the bull flag. And we've already seen that pan out, right? So logically, going into Thursday into Friday session, we expected Friday's session to be more of a consolidation day. Why? Because we already met the target for the long levels, right? The long move was already met basically. So that was the idea going into Friday's session. Now today's session, we can look back at Friday's session and understand Friday's session was simply just a consolidation day where we produced a low here at 621 and a high here at 624.50. Now today's session, the levels are simply just using Friday's highs and lows. What we must do today's session is we must look for this to happen. If you want continuation moves in the market to occur, you want to see us break and hold above 624.50. If we can clear above 624.50, we can look for a beautiful break and retest upside trade above 624.50 for longs back into all-time highs, back into 626, back into 627, which would be the real all-time highs here. So the main thing I'm watching out for today's session is a break and hold above 624.50. If that happens, we can logically expect more upside. Why is this level so important? It's so important because it is not only the Friday's highs. Friday's highs being, I would argue, if you want to be smart here, you want to be really smart, you can make an adjustment. The adjustment should really be made for Friday's highs, which is around 625. So 625, you really want to see this break for market continuation. If we can break 625 today, right, that level is Friday's highs, but it is also the consolidation of Wednesday, right? It's the Wednesday's highs. It's the breakout level from Thursday, which caused the upside to all-time highs. It is the level we must be watching this morning session. If we can clear 625 with conviction, we can look simply, again, for repeating myself here, but a break and hold above this level for long base entries into 626. That's what I'd be watching out for today's session, above 624.50 for longs, okay? If the market loses our Friday's lows, which is 621, which would also be the lows of Wednesday and the highs of Tuesday's session, and also the breakdown level of Monday, then we should expect downside back into 619. So this is what I'd be expecting today, is downside under 621, back into 619, or upside above 624.50, 625, for a long base move into 626. That's what it's all about today, guys. It's simply just looking to see, does the consolidation result in any continuation moves, either upside above highs or downside below our support zones. Now, a key thing to note about today's session, though, is because we have major events tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. with CPI, there is a possibility that we maintain the consolidation until 8:30 a.m. tomorrow. This is a strong idea. A strong idea is that we remain in the channel of Friday's highs and lows. Do not get crazy today, because we may still just maintain this channel, right? We could simply just do this today. We could stay, hey, this is support, bounce off support. Hey, this is resistance, reject off resistance, right? This could be a very, very possible scenario today's session. So I understand I'm talking about continuation moves, but that's the optimistic mindset. The more than likely mindset, the more than likely scenario here is going to be we stay in range because CPI tomorrow. Again, understand for continuation, you want to see us break highs or lows, but the more logical scenario is we probably just stay in range until the big data tomorrow morning. That's the idea going into SPY's chart. Now, that's a smaller term view. Okay, the larger term view that I want you guys to be aware of is the fact that if you zoom out for a second on the 4-hour time frame, we are still very bullish here, right? As long as we're above 613 on the daily time frame, which is the previous all-time highs, 613, we are very much so bullish. So if you do see us fail for whatever reason today, let's just say tomorrow morning 8:30 a.m. market opens 9:30, right after CPI, we see a big breakdown level under 619, you go short for a downside move, you can short this, right? Sure, it's shortable under 619. It's definitely a very valid short, but you only really get downside potential into those daily levels, which would be the previous all-time high. And this is a valid short, but again, it's not that much meat there. There's only a little bit of meat for us to play off of. There's only a little bit of room for us to trade here, right? Nothing crazy. So just be aware, if you're shorting under 619, there's not much space until, really there is, you could trade it, but it's not going to be that crazy, okay? So understand, under 619, there is downside potential into 613, okay? Moving on the ES chart. ES chart, very simple as well, okay? You have a breakout level here at 6260, which is that 619 level on SPY, and I'm gonna mark that down so you understand it. This breakout level is 6256, which is the Monday's lows and the Tuesday's lows. We know this level is SPY 619. We are really technically bullish as long as we are above SPY 619. If you're looking for shorts, you could look for shorts back under 619 or SPY 6256 for a downside play. That would be a very logical short today here on ES's chart. You could, in theory, do this earlier though. Like if you want to go short on SPY, you know this is a valid short as well. So technically on the ES chart, I would not really be watching shorts here until we lost that 62.56 level, which would be 619. The reason why is because it's the breakout level from our Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday session, okay? So be aware of that going into today's session, right? If you're looking for shorts on the ES, the best possible short is going to be back under 619 because that would confirm downside, which again would be 62.56 on ES for a downside play back into 62.30, which would be a valid short opportunity, right? And of course, this is what I'm saying, right? Remember I said there's not that much room down in the market. Well, the reason I'm saying this is because technically on SPY's chart, you have room back at a 612, 613, right? Well, if we lose 62.56 here on ES's chart, your downside potential is only back into 62.31. So nothing crazy for downside yet, right? Real downside, real sustained downside in the market. A downside market that I would be sort of looking for puts every day in would be a break under 613 on SPY. If we lost 613 on SPY, that would be a big downside break for me, right? This would be the break that I would be looking for real downside continuation under this low over here. Why? Because it's that daily time frame level, okay? So just kind of giving you a larger term view, which is under 613 for puts, which really should be adjusted here, right? 613. Or the shorter term view, we could look for puts under 619. That's what it is today, guys. 621 level, support, 619, big support, 613, big support. That's it. That's all we have today's session. Anyway, on the Qs chart, QQQ, the levels are pretty simple this morning. We have our demand below here at 552. If we lose 552, we go to 550. 550, of course, is our major hourly pivot. You don't want to be short into this major hourly pivot. For example, if you see us break under 552 today and you want to look for shorts under that level, which would be logical and I would support that move, we should go lower, right? Obviously, we should go lower back into 550. But again, there's not that much meat there, right? There's only a little bit of room under 552, back into 550. The real downside occurs under 550. If that breakdown occurs, then there is some more sustained downside back into 544. If you want any chart to look at today, it's really just watch the Qs. The QQQ has such clear levels. You can see the Friday's lows is here at 552. The lows of that Tuesday session, the level we retained all Tuesday, was also 552. The breakdown level was 552. The highs of that Thursday session, right? The Thursday session big level was 552. If we lose 552, we should see a move back into 550. But again, it's not going to be that crazy. The real crazy breakdown would occur if this happens. And this would be a really nice short today session, would be a breakdown under 550 for shorts back into 544. That's something that I think would be a really nice trade. Why do I say that? Because under 550, there is actually a lot of room here, right? Look at SPY's chart, for example. Back to SPY for 1 second. Under 621, yes, there's room into 619, but it's not that much space, right? It's very tight in there. It's very cramped up. But on the Qs chart, there is space here, right? Under this 550 level, there is space back into 544, and this would be a really nice trade. Why is there space there? Because the next level of support doesn't come into this level down here below, right? You can see 544, 545, 544, 545, 544, 545, right? Big level down below, but there's nothing in between this level and this level. And for that reason, this would be a very logical short today's session, under 550, under 550, okay? In complete contrast, if we did see continuation today prior to our CPI data, right, you'd have to see us clear above Friday's highs, right? So my level before on Friday's session, on Thursday session, on even Wednesday and Tuesday session was simply just 555. But you can see we must make an adjustment here based upon what happened here on Friday, right? So my level was 555 here on Friday. But now you can see because we sort of produced these highs here around 555.7, I have to make a little bit of an ugly adjustment here to sort of encapsulate the highs of that Friday, right? So again, my level that I'd be watching out for today's session would simply just be 555.7, a little bit of a bizarre number, but you can see there has been a lot of reactions here. You can see reactions, 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 reactions. if you want to look for sustained upside of the market today's session, you want to see us clear, break and hold above these highs for continuation moves higher. That's what I'll be watching for today's session. Okay, so that concludes my analysis here on the Q's chart. I'm mostly done with indices. I want to flash the NQ chart for a second. The NQ chart, right, you can see a big level of supply here would be 23,017, right? That would be the Friday's highs, and our lows here coming in at 22,813. That's all we have here on the NQ, right? You can see big demand below, big supply above. That's all it is here on the NQ chart. Guys, I want to dive into our actual tickers today. We are going to start off with the first ticker of today's session. We are going to go over Amazon. So before I do that, I want to get some water. I want to read the chat. I haven't been looking at the chat this morning. I've been sort of just focused on charts this whole session. What are you guys arguing about in the chat this morning? Anything crazy this morning? Nothing crazy. Everyone seems to be sleeping in. I think because it's Monday. I think I'm the only one with energy this morning. I think I'm the only one that's like going crazy. Everyone in the chat's nice and quiet today. Right, so Amazon. On the Amazon chart, we scalped a little bit of this on Friday. If you guys are in Honey Drip, you know what this was. There's a little bit of scalper, right? Nothing crazy, but this was some good opportunity on Friday, okay? And even though there was some good opportunity on this on Friday session, I think there is more opportunity today, right? We spoke about this 224, 225 level on, really it was 224.50 on Friday morning. We discussed this as a nice breakout level. The reason why I like this chart is because of this hourly time frame, right? What's going on here in the hourly, right? You can see very clear chart here, right? You can see initially we had a beautiful little bull flag, followed by continuation, bull flag, followed by continuation. Now we are again another bull flag, followed by what I would expect to be continuation, right? So today's session, I'm looking for continuation on Amazon. Now the level I'm watching for at Amazon's chart is going to be 225 again today, 224, 225. The reason why I think it's such an important level is because you can see all of the reactions coming in here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and of course pre-market right now, right here, okay? So this chart is structured bullish, is in a bullish thesis, is in a bullish pennant, whatever you want to call it, right? Any idea here that's bullish would be what Amazon is. If it loses 224, I'm wrong. This is different. But as of right now, this chart is structured bullish as long as it's above 224. And what I would be looking for in this chart now is I would look to see if this chart can build back into these highs over here back into 230, right? 229, 230. The reason why I say that is because there is not really much there's not really much overhead resistance until 229, 228. So today's session, I will be looking to see can we find an opportunity on the way over to 229, right? Let's look for a hitchhiking opportunity as this chart moves higher back into this level over here, right? So for me, I'm watching for this to happen, right? Can we see us turn that 224 into support? If we can, look for upside back into 229, right? And where that would come in would be, again, looking for some sort of bounce here at 224. If it holds, look for longs. If this happens though, this is so important. If we fail back under 224, I am not looking for longs in this chart anymore, and this likely fails back lower very aggressively, right? So the two scenarios on Amazon are scenario 1 bullish, or scenario 2 fake bullish, back down bearish, right? So that's what I'm watching today on Amazon, but right now the most logical scenario is the bullish case scenario, looking for longs here at 224. Very nice chart, watching Amazon to continue going into this Monday morning, okay? Next chart is going to be Tesla. Very, very interesting chart here in Tesla, right? You saw some crazy downside, followed by a balanced move into supply, crazy downside, followed by a balanced move back into supply. Now today's session is all about 320. 320 is what matters for me this morning. The reason why 320 is so important is because 320 was the level we rejected off of the last few times. What I'm watching for here on Tesla is this. Can we finally get back above 320? If we can see a sustained build above 320, I think this goes back higher into 334 and change, right? This could be a really nice bold breakout today's session above 320. That being said though, we still recognize this 320 as big technical resistance. We know this is big resistance and we are aware of that going into this Monday morning. So what we can't do is we can't just come into this chart and say, you know what, I want to go long on Tesla because Brett said Tesla's bullish, and you do this today, right? This would be the worst thing you could do because again, 320 is still resistance and we could easily reject off resistance. If you're looking for any early entries on Tesla, the level I'd be watching out for this morning is going to be 312. So if I'm looking for a bounce opportunity in Tesla, it's this. It's going to be look for a pullback opportunity back into our Friday highs, or Friday, really not highs, because the highs of Friday is around 314, right? But I'd be watching to see, can we turn that little breakout level from Friday session, 312, back into support, or can we use that Thursday high, 312, as our big level for support today? So looking to see, can we look for an opportunity back in demand here? 312 is big supply, big demand. Watching for that to happen today's session. Okay, so this is what I'd be watching for going into my my Monday morning. Okay, that's Tesla. Either above highs, about 320, or pullback long here, demand 312. Moving on, Apple. On the Apple chart, Apple is very much so pinned, right? We spoke about Apple being bullish on Thursday. It did the move on Thursday, but then sort of faked everybody out on Friday, right? Apple was a pretty terrible chart trade on Friday session. What I'd be watching out for on Friday session, on this Monday morning session, would be can we get back above 211? Either above 211 for calls. If we can get it back above 211, I look for longs back into 214, right? Or if we fail back below this 208.50 level, I'm looking for puts back into 205, right? Those are the only two things I'll be watching for here in Apple's chart, right? I have no reason to trade Apple in between this zone. In between this zone between 211 and 208.50, I have a sort of a graveyard zone, right? This is the graveyard zone. This is where everyone goes if you want to die, right? If you want to get cooked on Apple, I think you trade it in the graveyard zone. If you want to be smart, I think the logical scenario here is wait for us to break above the graveyard zone, 211, or below the graveyard zone, 208.50. Okay, that's what we do here. Let's let for it to break out or break out or break down, and then we can catch it on momentum either side. Again, we're not guessing here, right? This chart is simply just neutral. There are some charts that are bullish, right? For example, Amazon is just very much so bullish. But here in Apple, we have no sentiment. We have no idea what's going to happen. So we're just going to look to see if it makes the first move, right? Let it make the first move, and we'll sort of find our entry after it does that, okay? So 211 or 208.50. Okay, moving on, we're going to do Nvidia. Nvidia, no, we'll do AMD first. AMD, then we'll do Nvidia. So AMD, on the AMD chart, AMD is already making its move, right? This chart should sort of remind you of something, right? This chart should give you some flashbacks to SPY on Thursday into Friday session. Why am I saying that? Because you see the beautiful bull flag, right? Beautiful bull flag, followed by continuation of the bull flag back into the high of that bull flag, right? Logically, what I would expect on this Monday morning is I'd expect some sort of consolidation. We understand, though, that the consolidation that AMD does present is not necessarily bearish. It's still a bullish consolidation. So if I'm looking to trade AMD today, the AMD chart I'd be watching, the AMD trade I'd be watching for today would be a little consolidation today's session, followed by a breakout above 148. Because if we clear above 148, we have a nice potential momentum trade here on our hands for a push into 150 and change, 150, and possibly even 150, 250, right? So those are the two things I'm watching for today's session, right? Really one thing is the break and hold above 148. If we clear above 148, longs back into 150 and 150, 250. Those are the next two major strikes on AMD, okay? So watching that to happen today. If we pull back, I don't really have any interest here, to be honest, because again, even though we do have demand below here at 142, it's already held our demand here at 142. So at this point, it should just go. So for me, I'm mostly focused on longs above 148. Okay, that is AMD. Nvidia. On the Nvidia chart, Nvidia has been it's obviously been very strong, right? We've been in a beautiful uptrend. You can see the uptrend has been very much so the case. If I'm looking for trades here in Nvidia, for me, it becomes more and more difficult to do so. Why I say that is because yes, we see these crazy breakouts happening, right? But we are so far from any of our retest levels. My next major retest level here on Nvidia is really 161. My next demand is here at 161. If we can pull back to 161, this is a potential long opportunity today in the short term. Likewise, even 159 is a pullback long today as well. So if I'm looking for longs on Nvidia, I'm looking for longs either at 161 or 159. Those are the only things I'm looking for today's session here in Nvidia. Again, pullback long at demand number 1 and pullback long at demand number 2. That's all I have today's session here on Nvidia's chart. Demand 1, demand 2. There's going to be a moment in time where Nvidia probably pulls back lower. And if you guys remember, I said something on Friday's session. I think Rav and I were talking about this. There's going to be a moment in time where Nvidia does have to pull back to this 146 level, right? 146 level is that big daily demand below. And we spoke about that on our Friday session. Just because I'm saying Nvidia has to pull back to 146, it doesn't mean that it's not going to give us opportunity before then. That's why I'm saying this right now, right? Because I'm saying there's demand here at 146, it doesn't mean it's going to do this. I'm not expecting this to happen, right? That's not my expectations here. Nvidia is still a very strong chart. It's still one of the strongest names in the market. If I'm trading Nvidia today's session, I'm probably going to be looking at 161 for a demand opportunity, or even 159 as a demand opportunity, right? Demand zone number 1, right, for longs, or demand zone number 2 for longs. And that's what I'm looking for today's session, right? I'll be looking for longs at these two critical demands, okay? Even though it's not as big as the major demand test here at 146, it still represents some opportunities before we get to our big demand zone, okay? That's all I'm saying here about Nvidia's chart. Meta. I feel like I'm talking too fast today. I feel like I've had too much caffeine. I feel like we're going through these charts too quickly. On the Meta chart, Meta 715. That's your big demand below, and 725 big supply above. Either we hold demand here, which is probably what we do, and rip higher into supply. That would be probably your only trade I see here right now is if we see us maintain demand here 715, look for longs off 715. You saw it happen all of last week. Let's see if it happens again this week. Again, 715, big demand zone. If we lose 715, we go back into 705, okay? Demand zone 1, demand zone 2. But again, if you're bullish here on Meta, you got to just look for longs here at 715. That's it. That's all we have here at Meta. So, moving on. Sometimes, you're right. I mean, Paula, the reason why I talk so fast is because I kind of have to. Otherwise, we will be here till like 11 o'clock and we'll just miss all of our trades. Right? We have to keep a certain speed, and sometimes it's difficult, but we have to do it. Otherwise, we can't get through everything. Sometimes you could make the argument that I do go over too much, though. I might spend too much time on certain tickers. On the ETF here, on the semiconductor ETFs, SMH, obviously, right, the big level is still here at 283, right? I would expect this to pull back to 283 at some point in time. That's the bull case long I'd be looking for. 283 for longs. If we lose 283, back into 275. But 283 is the big long spot we're watching, okay? Let's go over some crypto names, guys. Let's go over Hood. Hood has a little bit of a crypto sympathy, right? Hood is moving higher because of crypto. That's really what's happening right now, right? Hood is moving higher because of crypto. Where does it go to next? At this point, it's just simply in a price discovery mode. I'll tell you this right now. I'm going to say it the way it should be, right? At some point in time, this is going to pull back to 85, right? Just understand that. As long as you're okay with that, this will happen at some point. It's kind of like that Nvidia 146. By no means is Nvidia bearish. By no means is Hood bearish. But at this point, if you're looking for Hood trades, you're looking to see can Hood either clear above 101, the previous all-time highs, and you're looking for a beautiful little bull flag breakout, right? Little bull flag breakout here above 101. If that happens, a new price discovery mode is on our hands right now. We would see a push probably back into 104 plus, right? I would expect this to happen today if we clear above 101. That being said, the best long opportunity for me, if I was looking for longs today, I know this is far-fetched, but it's not going to happen today. It'll probably happen later this week. But again, 85. I'd watch 85 for a pullback long. Even if it doesn't happen this week, it's going to happen at some point in time. Could be sometime in August, right? But again, the idea is that 85 is your major pullback long spot. Why? It's because that big daily level, 85 major daily level. Okay, so keep that in the back burner going into this session. Okay, BTC USD, Bitcoin obviously broke the all-time highs. The level I'd be watching for this morning would be 18,800, right? I would be watching to see, can we turn these previous highs back into support? If we can, that's your long opportunity as a demand zone, okay? Watch that 119K, 119 to 118.8. That's the level I'll be watching for this morning session here on BTC USD. Okay, MSTR, last ticker of the session, MSTR. You can see MicroStrategy is simply just a bull flag breakout, right? Kind of the idea we spoke about. I think it was sometime last week we spoke about this MSTR chart. At this point, right, it's probably going to build higher. I think this probably goes back into these highs here, right? I think logically that's where MSTR does go to eventually is 551. Is there going to be any opportunity in between now and then? Sure, there probably will be, right? I think you should look for some pullback longs back at the 415, 420 area, right? Back into this zone over here for a long opportunity higher. That's what I'd be looking for today's session on MSTR. It's just sort of the pullback long opportunities on the way over back to all-time highs. There is a logical reasoning. There's logical reasoning behind suggesting that because Bitcoin is at all-time highs and MSTR is not at all-time highs, that there is opportunity in MSTR till all-time highs, right? That's the idea behind this trade, would be sort of looking for longs until we get back into the all-time high level. Okay, guys, that is all I'm going to do with you today. This was a great morning. It's Monday morning. It's 9:09. I know I went over a lot of stuff this morning. Let's finish here. Let's have a great session. Let's have a great week. And I'll see you guys all for live trading. If you trade with us, if you don't, that's okay. I'll see you here tomorrow morning. Safe trading. Bye, guys.